just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 72 with Mike Biseglia and Alex Benezowitz. And the NBA offseason, at least for the Nets and Knicks, is in full action. Apparently, there's an NBA Finals going on. I got to be honest, I have watched exactly 1 minute of it, and I've seen a couple highlights. I think there was a really cool Suns dunk yesterday, Alex. You can refresh my memory. Like someone jumped on top of somebody.
Tom Chambers.
It was like, I think it was the second best dunk ever to Vince Carter and some other former Knick or something that happened in the Olympics. You can refresh my memory on that, but you hear laughter, Alex. We've got some fun guests on the line, and we're gonna have a good crossover time here on Bad Weather Fans. But first off, Alex, how the hell are you doing?
I'm doing well. Feeling good. Nice Monday night. Nice evening. Just worked out. Feeling good. How about you?
What was your workout?
Just doing the elliptical, getting some cardio in, trying to work out. It was actually weird because my gym is on the bottom floor. Hi guys, how you doing? But my gym is on the bottom floor. Quick story. And this guy walked by, he goes like this. He's like, "Go faster." I'm just like, "Hey, yeah." And then he just kept standing there and he's like, "No, go." I'm like, "All right, dude, like you go." And then he walked away and then he came back with his phone. And he's like, "No, go." I'm like, "Dude, could you get the fuck out of here?" Like I was just like, "Are you kidding?"
Why is Dolan J. Trump watching you work out?
I don't know. That was pretty creepy. Well, you hear like a normal looking dude. He wasn't like, some homeless guy. It was like a normal guy that was doing it. That's why it was so weird. Like it was some crazy guy. You're like, whatever, But anyway.
Well, it's good to hear you're getting some cardiovascular exercise.
There you go.
It's always a good thing to get things rolling.
Too fat.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, we appreciate it. If not, check it out. Bad Weather Fans on YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, you've seen the awesome video we have right now and our two special guests. Really excited to have from the Knicks Corner podcast, Danny B and Coach Fah joining us. If you have not heard and you're a Knicks fan or a Nets fan, you want to check out some awesome Knicks content, go ahead and check out the Knicks Corner podcast. So guys, Coach Fah, Danny B, thank you so much for coming on Bad Weather Fans.
Absolutely. Hey. What's up?
Yeah, thanks for
Glad to be here, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, we've been playing DM tag for a while, trying to set something up.
We definitely have. But the moment is now here.
Yeah, and I got three Knicks fans. I'm the one Nets fan. So we're going to just kick it off and let's talk about what the Nets should do with Spencer Dinwiddie. Alex, take it away.
Nets should max him out. Complete max. The Knicks should not sign him. What do you guys think about Dinwiddie?
We won't have to get into that part of it. But guys, you walk. All right, Coach.
We want
to talk Spencer. We'll talk Spence. I love me some.
What are we going to do with what are you guys going to do with Kyrie? Are you going to keep Kyrie next year? Are you going to shop him? What are you going to do with him? Because I feel like that determines what you're going to do with Spencer.
No, Kyrie Irving is staying. I mean, he's a top. Oh yeah, he's definitely staying. Top player in the NBA. Mm-hmm. For him, it's all about health, which is a big issue. Obviously, he's had some trouble in the past staying on the court during the NBA playoffs. But if he was. They're a different ball team, but you could say it, and this is very clear when I watched the NBA Finals and with Kyrie Irving out and James Harden at 20%. I mean, they clearly could have used Spencer Dinwiddie, a guy that scored 20 points per game the season before for the Nets, and a guy that's improved every year. We saw a lot of growth and improvement during this Nets organization. I know Alex doesn't want him anywhere close to the Knicks, and I guess with a max contract, that's a whole different story.
Exactly.
But somebody that's seen the growth of Spencer Dinwiddie. He's one of my favorite Nets of all time. I'd love to see him back, but for the Nets, it's if they re-sign him, they're going to a luxury tax place from hell. So it's all about if they want to shell out that kind of money, and if Spencer wants to take the role of being, a six-man kind of guy.
If they don't shell out the money, that's just a disservice because you got these 2 stars and 3 stars now, and the window's tight and you got to go. Like forget the money, you get the title, then the money's worth it, So. I don't know, but I just don't want Dinwiddie because he's Dinwiddie and because of the injury. I mean, he's coming off knee injury. Without the knee injury, you can talk me into it, but with it, I'm just like, no, thanks, man. Not at all for the Knicks. No.
Would you guys be interested in Spencer Dinwiddie on the team from Manhattan?
I'm gonna Go for it, Coach. I want to hear your take anyway. You know what? Let me go first because I think your take's gonna be nice to back it up. So, I'm kind of indifferent to it, right? Like I'm not looking for it. I don't want a relationship with him. If it falls to it, no problem. I do like how he approaches the game. He's very gritty. Obviously he's injury prone, but I think he's got something to prove, so I think that he has what it takes to go about it. He's taken enough time away to, take care of the issue, hopefully. And I'm pretty sure I saw a video of him the other day. Was there a video of him floating around talking about his contract and if he would want to stay on the team? All right, because I'm pretty sure
if I
it
get a
was
max,
him.
I'll stay. Something like that.
and he did preface it, and he was like, "Listen, I know I'm not looking at this type of money, but if the Nets come out and say that they'll give me, this type of money, I'm in the game." I think he said like 115, something like that. That he'd play, and he'd want to be a part of that anyway. And I could see him being an integral part to that team. Obviously, when he was healthy, and he was doing his thing. Did he have a 50-point game? He did, right?
He did not have the 50-point game.
40,
the 50-point game went to Karis LeVert that had it. It was that was a game
but Spencer definitely had a high scoring game. I guess it wasn't 50.
Spencer
maybe he hit like
score.
48. He got up there, man. There was a couple games where he had a streak going like that. So I understand it, and like I said, if it falls to it, it is what it is, and I think he'd be a great addition to anybody's team. But I'm not looking forward to it, and I don't want it for that same reason that Alex said, man. He is who he is. Yeah. You know what I mean?
The ultimate troll.
Before Coach, I want to hear your opinion on this. I do want to preface with one thing about Spencer and injuries. He did miss a lot of games last year. That's true because he had the injury, but in his first 4 seasons with the Nets, he only missed 20 games. So it's the one bad injury. But other than that, he was consistently there, grinding, playing when the team was a disaster and terrible. So I think once healthy, you would, if that were to happen, would be getting a player that I think he would be on there on the court for you guys. But Coach, your opinions on Spencer and the Knicks?
Chemistry. That's my thing. Is with the guys that we have going. Again, it's what his ability is on the, but it's also in the locker room. Is he going to annoy folk? Is he going to drive folk crazy? Are they going to gel? Are they going to all come into this unit that Tibbs has already started building? So I don't want just any personality to come in there. That's not what we're doing here. We've got a distinctive kind of vibe going, and you've got to be able to fit into the role you're going to play for the Knicks. And again, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to spend money either, just being honest. If I'm going to spend the money, I'm spend the money somewhere else.
Cautious. Yeah.
Well, that, and he's just looking for it, to be perfectly honest. So
he's not the guy for that kind of money, you're saying, right?
Right. So don't open up your wallet for that when you can open it for something else.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha.
If it's a good deal that works for both sides, then sure. But
yeah, no, I hear you, and that leads me into my next question to you guys. What do you guys think about Colin Sexton? I think he would fit that kind of mold where he'd be the kind of guy like the moxie that he has and the swagger that he has to come into the Garden. I think he would be a fan favorite right away.
We got moxie. I don't think we need Colin Sexton. I honestly don't. Again, another guy, if he comes, cool. If the front office deems that he needs to be here, then okay, I'm fine with it. But if you're asking Coach Fah, I'm good.
All right, Danny, what do you think about?
I had a feeling he was going to say that because we were talking about that a little bit on Twitter earlier. Yeah. But I feel like in the right situation, it might work. I feel like he's not just a shooting guard; he's also a point guard. So he does have that flex right there. He does have decent visibility on the court. I'm not saying it's amazing. I think it's decent. I think he's not overpriced. I think he does put in the work. I think that the one thing is there's a balance, right, in terms of who's going to carry the ball and who's going to, dominate the ball in certain positions. So I feel like next season, no matter who we get in certain roles, there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. You know what I mean? Right. Because it's not going to be going through RJ all the time just yet, which I wouldn't mind. It's not going to be going through Julius Randle like it was last season. Obviously, it's not going to be going through EP. So whoever is in that is on the court in those certain roles, I think that the whole team's going to have to adjust. So I feel like if Colin Sexton was on the court and in, one of those roles, I think that hopefully he'd be a little bit more, pass first, shoot second. But if we need it, he could pull up and shoot in a way that people see that quickly, could possibly step into that same type of a role. Yeah. I don't see if right. But like I said, for the things that Colin Sexton's already shown, in terms of the court visibility and, seeing the lanes and passing that ball, I think that it wouldn't be a bad move, and if we can get it at the right price, because a lot of people do talk about his contract. I know that once, we sign him, we'd have to pay him another year after that because he's a restricted free agent.
On the rookie deal, and then he wants the max extension, right?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not doing that.
So I know that's a tough point too, but like I said, if it falls to him, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off. I don't know if you finished. I don't know. But
I never finished, dude. Always cut me off because I just talk.
Fair point.
Sexton,
I'm his co-host. I know.
The Knicks Corner, check it out, where Danny B talks forever. Yeah, but Colin Sexton, I've been a big fan of his since high school. I saw that video when he was in playing against Penny Hardaway's son. And Penny Hardaway's son tried to stare him down, and he turned around at the free throw line, with his back to the hoop, just looking at him and stared at him, and then jade him. It was something crazy. And then he had this high school 3-point shootout. I was just randomly watching it, bored at on a random afternoon.
He can shoot.
He just he won it, and then with the last shot, he needed to hit to win it, and he just takes the money ball and just goes like this to the crowd, and just goes up like this, and then turns around, just nails the 3 to win it. And I was just who is this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I followed Alabama that year, and I was all in on them, and and then I was hoping the Knicks would get him. They missed him by 1 pick. And so that's why I'm kind of soft on Sexton. I'm I kind of want to get him. You know what I mean? That's kind of the guy I've been watching. I really think he would be a perfect fit here, but it's all about price. The same thing with Dame. It's all about price. That's all it is.
Let me bring this up to the group, and I'll start with you, Alex, because I'll take you here, and then I'll let it trickle down. I'll be curious.
I'm glad you switched topics. I like that shuffle right there.
Well, no, this is actually.
I didn't want to get on the Dame.
This is going to be another Colin Sexton take. I'm just going to go with this because and Coach Fah brought up an interesting point why he was not a little scared about Spencer Dinwiddie because he's worried about chemistry. So I'll bring up this quote. It was from multiple outlets from Cleveland. Yeah, you know where I'm going, buddy. Various Cavs players still grow frustrated by the way Sexton dominates the ball, and opponents taunt them by saying during games, he's not going to pass you the ball. What do you think of that?
I think that the Cavs have had one of the worst organizations in the NBA the last 3 years, and he's still putting up 25 a game. And I think with the right structure, he can have a Julius Randle kind of ascension with Tibbs. And that's why I think that he maybe not exactly, I see Fah's face, maybe not exactly to that level, but I'm saying he can develop. He'll have it's weird to say, but the Knicks have the structure right now.
Oh, just say it. Just say it.
The structure. Just
not
say culture,
it.
The structure.
Don't do it. Say it. Say it.
It's the culture, baby. It's the culture.
They have it now, man, and they really do. And they won last year, and they're a good team on paper, and even on the, you know what I mean? They if they can add him for virtually nothing,
we can. It's weird to embrace the fact that we're all right.
Right.
Because we haven't been all right for so many years, and it's like eggshells. We're scared to really say it because we don't want the floor to fall out underneath us. But honestly, I feel like it's all right, at least for these next 3-4 years.
Yo, I've been saying it, man. It's just all about a mindset, that we have to switch gears kind of as fans, we're not just, like I said today, man, we're not just doing the tank and look to the lottery. We got something to build on finally. So we took the next step and we're at the next level. So see you later. What do we do now? And it's, you got to look forward.
And that's why we're all against that Dame trade.
Danny's got this thing he says on the show. And we got a nice little graphic for it and everything because it's positive vibes only. That's where we are with it.
I'm such a positive guy too, all the time. You know what I mean? I'm always so positive. I'm
yes.
And see, that's why I think, and I would exclude Dinwiddie from this conversation too. I wouldn't even put him in there. If you're the Knicks and you've got young players, you've got a lot of draft picks, you're building in the right direction, I would not blow cap space on Colin Sexton. If I'm going to blow the cap space, I'm going to get it on the guy. Not a guy that could ascend, could be good, keep growing internally, use the cap space correctly. Like you had mentioned before, Alex, on guys like Danilo Gallinari, on a guy like Bogdanovich, just solid, good role players that aren't going to eat up your cap, but are going to build you to be a team that has depth. And then when it's time to roll the dice on the big guy if it gets there. And if not, continue to grow and see what RJ Barrett becomes. See if Julius Randle, only 26, gets better.
Mitch,
you have 2 draft picks, and maybe they structure that for another one, and you draft well, things keep going up. I would be weary of just sending it all for somebody that could have the ability to blow up in your face.
That Mike, and I also feel like Emmanuel quickly does the same things that Colin Sexton can do, with the exception of the fact that he's a little younger, so he doesn't do it as much. And I understand what you were saying, Danny, on that one. But with a proper offseason, a full offseason this year, going at it next year, perhaps in year 3, he ascends to be exactly that or better, and he's homegrown.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So
been well coached
like
also as a kid. Yeah.
And he comes into Tibbs. He comes into the NBA experience under Tibbs, pretty much.
Right. And Kentucky and the whole thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but my thinking is, if we've got guys in house that can become something, I don't want to go and buy that in the store when I already got it.
Right.
I got you.
You know, so
we don't know. Like, we don't know, but I hear what you're saying. Like we think he could be that. Like you're.
I mean,
saying,
honestly, there's an eye test there, and he's got it. That moxie you were talking about with Sexton, he's got that too.
Yeah.
And he's got a mom. Yes, and he's got a mom that will not allow him to miss free throws. I know he's in trouble all summer because he missed a few free throws during
the
mama
season.
Quickly don't like that. Of his first 100 or something like 97 of first 100 free throws in the NBA.
Yes,
that's insane.
Yes, he did.
Yep, crazy.
And that speaks to his work ethic. So nothing tells me he can't ascend to be that. I had a conversation with a Twitter follower online earlier today, and he was trying to tear me up because I said that Quickly isn't a point guard. Don't mistake. It's not an old school, a point guard has to be this. No, it's the fact that this young man is so creative. I don't really want him stuck having to play make for other people and move other people out of the way. I want him to run around the court, find wherever open space he can get to shoot. That boy can shoot. Let him have his fun.
Right.
Don't lock him into a role where he has to do more thinking than reacting. And then he starts slowing down a bit, which is what we already saw.
Right.
Yeah. If you look at guys like Chauncey Billups, wasn't a pure point guard, but he's a point guard, and he was one of the best ever. You know what I mean? So
how do you think
Kyrie plays off the ball a lot too? Right.
I was just gonna say Kyrie. There was a huge fear of Kyrie moving him and Harden. Could they play together? What ended up happening was Kyrie had his best season as an NBA player because he had a point guard in James Harden that was getting him all the shots.
Yeah, he didn't have
the ability to score.
And that's my IQ. That's my IQ. So why do I want? I mean, again, we need a solid point guard that can teach the youth and get the vets where we need to go for open space and all that. But while we have that vet presence, we also need that inflection of youth and joy of running around and shooting the ball and all that good stuff. Because we need that fun. We need that fusion. You know, that's what'll work. So again, as y'all were saying about Colin, we don't know if he's going to bring the right attitude just because he's tired of being in Cleveland.
Listen, the only thing that I was going to say about that quote from Mike, right? And I'm not saying I'm all for Colin Sexton, but I'm just offering a point of view, is that maybe during that period of time when that quote was taken and the team that was going on and the way that Colin had to play to win, it frustrated his teammates. You know what I'm saying? And I could see parts of that in Julius, exactly how Alex mentioned before, in terms that, you know, last season before he, you know, changed and everything, that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to put it in his hands and put the, you know, and pull out the win because he wanted the win. So maybe it, you know, came across certain ways. We don't know. Quotes are always taken, and then things happen behind the scenes anyway afterwards. But I'm just, like I said, I'm not for him. I'm just throwing out a different point of view. You know what I mean? Because I saw the similarity.
And look at Kevin Love this year also. He was like inbounding the ball, just tossing it. Like there was it was a toxic environment in Cleveland, man. Like, you know, there's something wrong there, you know? Go ahead, Fah.
Now, I had a question. I had a follow-up, and that Kevin Love popped into my head, and I completely lost it.
Yeah, you just saw that video, right? Toss the ball
in your head.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
Okay.
Yeah,
It came back.
there you go.
It came
Go
back.
for it.
Thank you. Last year, Julius Randle signed with the Knicks to be the number one guy. He didn't know how, but he was signed to be. So that was his role. Is Colin Sexton the number one guy in Cleveland?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Kevin Love's apparent decline.
Has he been told that he is the number one guy? And
well, we don't know that.
Yeah,
that's my thing, because Randall was told that.
Right.
So I understand why he was doing what he was doing last season, uncoached.
And there was no structure. Yeah. And
No
we
structure.
watch those games. It would be like Julius Randle have the ball, be a 7 left on the shot. I'm like, fuck it, I'll shoot.
Vince be like,
Right,
hey,
but you're proving the point
lead.
is that exactly this same scenario could be playing out in Cleveland. You know, that's all
what
I'm doing
saying.
is throwing that.
You're right.
Advocate,
It could be, and the truth be told is, I mean, the Knicks are going to do their due diligence. If they were going to go ahead and get a Colin Sexton, they're not just going to be like, well, we read an article, let's take a chance. That they're
100%, and they've proven that already.
They're going to talk to people in Cleveland. They're going to do everything that they need to do to make sure if you're going to gamble $100+ million and sign and tying up somebody, you're going to make sure that you know everybody and you do all of your homework, and then you weigh the options. Does he want to sign long term? Am I giving up multiple round draft picks? Am I trading young assets? And that's when you make business decisions as a franchise on what's the right or wrong thing to do for your team long term, and away you go. I would agree with you, Danny. And I honestly, I bring up that quote just because I like to spark Alex, and I know sort of how to trigger him,
how to do it.
But I would say
it hit perfectly with Coach too, because he's so big on the chemistry and the fit, and that quote just aligned with that whole theme.
Exactly.
So.
Right. So I mean, your guess is as good as mine. There's probably a little smoke to something, but in reality, it's probably frustration. Our team's losing. We're not very
right. Of course.
In mesh, you've got veterans, you've got younger guys, and they can't get this stuff together. I will say it's the only time I've ever seen Jared Allen mad at a teammate was with him, and he is the nicest human being on the face of the earth. So I will say that. All right, now I will pivot the conversation. Damian Lillard, any feelings on? Would you want Damian Lillard on the New York Knicks, and if so, what would you be willing to trade to get him?
Go ahead, guys.
Who's ringing the bell to go first?
We'll go with Coach.
All right. Damian Lillard is one of the most dynamic, exciting players in the NBA today. Hands down.
Right. No debate.
But we're not ready for that yet. And to give up what we would have to give up for that, we're not going anywhere. And that will stifle the future and the growth and everything. That is the exact opposite of what this culture is. Now, if he was a free agent, my tone would completely change.
I'd be like, yeah, come on. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Pull the truck up.
Yeah, go get him. We got the money. Go get him. Yeah.
Hey, if y'all need a GoFundMe for this, or a Kickstarter, we got you. Nick Landy would have you for that.
Right.
But not at the trade, because
that's everything.
Portland would have to rebuild, and they would have to get a lot of stock to rebuild. And the first place they're going to go is everything that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, that's my point I've been saying on this podcast and on Twitter, that the only way that a Dame trade to the Knicks makes sense is if Dame says, I want the Knicks and only the Knicks, like Harden did with the Nets. And then the value comes down, and then you can get him for something reasonable where it's like, 100%. Okay, we're not giving up everything.
Only way.
I mean, what's really even reasonable for a cat of his vernacular? So, I mean, again, even reasonable could be very expensive.
Well, look what the Nets, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
If you got Walmart money, what you doing in Nordstrom's?
Yeah. No, it's true. That's true. Danny, what do you think about the Dame thing?
I mean, I'm pretty much right on board with Coach, because I'm all about the culture, and I'm all about what we just spent the last year just building. You know what I mean? If you really think about it and go back, to when everybody was hired, first Steve Stout and then Leon Rose, and you know what I mean? You go down the line. Mm-hmm. I just feel like there's a timeline, right? And so to get where we got right now, I feel like they're not going to erase everything and give it a shot, like just with a whim. You know what I mean? They're just not about that. Is it a possibility? Very, 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 very low, in my opinion. But I don't see it happening. Like Coach said, I mean, Dame is one of the greats right now, but it's too much, man. The cost is way too much. So free agency, absolutely. But right now, no, thank you. It's just,
okay.
And I get what you're saying. Like if it was in a scenario where he's forcing his way out and says, I only want the Knicks and the value does come down, that's a whole different ball game. I don't see that happening, but if it does, it changes the whole game because now the landscape's different, So now say we have, and I'm just putting our assets as an X factor of say like a bag of gold, you know what I mean? And so we have this bag of gold and now the value of what we're looking for is decreased. Does it make sense to give out 20% of that bag of gold to bring in somebody like him or 30%? Sure. If we're talking about half going more, I probably would still stay away. But if it's somewhere in the realm of a possibility and they can make it work, and those guys, Brock Aller is definitely looking down the road, they'll make it work. You know what I mean? And if it works, it works. But
when does he become a free agent?
I think he's got another 3 years.
He's got.
I was gonna say 2 or 3.
Yeah,
and
I thought out. It's like super max, right? He's at the.
Yeah, he is at super max already.
Yeah,
and that was a recent contract.
Yeah.
What if I said Kawhi Leonard opts out, signs with the Knicks? The Knicks trade a bunch of their assets to get Damian Lillard. Would you want that? You have Kawhi and Dame, and you trade RJ Toppin quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my answer to you. That was my answer to Mike last week. I said, "Well, what's the deal? What's the Dame deal?" I still don't know.
So we'll have them and like 7 Jim Jameses.
Veterans that want.
That's not going to get us nowhere.
Veterans
we
that
said
want to
Danny
go.
Green would show up. Some of these guys will show up now.
That's plantar fasciitis all over again.
So no,
that's the 54 win season plantar fasciitis crew all over again.
Ceiling.
See, I
love that you call it that. That name is too funny.
Because 3 or 4 cats caught plantar fasciitis.
No, I know.
Throughout that season, and they were all 39.
Yeah. Mike, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
I know you got something on.
He's got something on his.
But
well,
I'll remember my question.
All right.
Go for
all
it.
I wanted to say, I think, because I like to try to put myself in somebody else's shoes and perspective.
This is perfect for what I'm going to ask you.
Where their opinion's coming from. So, from your perspective, you've seen the Knicks try to take shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess my opinion that what I'm presenting as an option seems like a shortcut based on the history of the Knicks of the last 10 to 12 years. So I can completely understand where that viewpoint would come from, as opposed to you've got Dame in his prime, you've got a Kawhi Leonard, and now you've been able to fill out role players that can help you win a championship. It might not be as bad as you think based on the experience that you had from what you saw from before.
That's so instead of getting bounced out instead of getting to the fourth spot in the playoffs and getting bounced out. So now we're going to go to maybe the 3rd and get bounced out in the 2nd round.
Well, with these players, I mean, who knows?
I'd rather not
depends on the whole deal, though.
And see what this rebuild brings me. Because
the only reason why is because no, I was just going to say I'm totally agreeing with you, and I think the only reason why is because we do that, and then we have to wait 3-4 years till we have more assets to finally build the right team around them that we need. Otherwise, what is the point? So I get that. Totally get that.
And look at on from sorry, Mike. Everybody keeps stomping on Mike, but but look at 2 years ago with the free agent class that I was so proud of. When the Knicks didn't get the top tier free agent, I was so proud of them. They punted. They said, "Forget it. Let's just add picks. Let's add Julius Randle. Let's add these guys," and they were okay. And they could have been better with a better coach, but whatever. But they didn't get a guy like Kemba, and they got crushed. Like, you couldn't even get Kemba. He's from your neighborhood. Look at Tobias Harris. He's from Long Island. You couldn't even get him.
And look where Kemba's
they didn't want him.
Now.
And look at Kemba right now. He's already traded. He's injured. He's never going to be the same that you think. Yep. So it's just that's why I look at like Kawhi in a way where it's kind of right now it looks great on paper, but like what is he going to be in 2 years?
Hey, I started this
Very
episode
true.
by saying I think the Knicks should keep all their assets, and I think they should continue their build. And I said that, and I posed these questions. No,
you're doing great.
to hear the other side of it. Trust me, I'm not in the idea that you just blow everything up just to do it. I would explore the options though. If those two guys did want to come in, what was around there, I think would be fascinating to hear. I mean, it's very I'll put it this way: it's almost impossible to try to win a championship. I mean, like there's so many factors that need to happen, and so many injuries.
Perfect storm type stuff.
Perfect storm. I mean, it is so difficult to see happen, and I think that's why I've mentioned this before. When I saw the Nets lose to the Bucks, and I saw everything happen in my mind, this was one of the few opportunities I've ever seen where I thought to myself, they have a legit chance to do this. You go into years where you're like, I hope they make the playoffs. I hope they don't suck. I hope they get a win. I hope all of the in between. But how many years do you go into
like
going
college football? Yeah,
I expect to win a championship, and there's so I think that's what buried my anger,
enthusiasm
so much with everything that's happened in the playoffs since. It's been so crushing to see. But I am with you too. Like I would be careful to leverage everything for these guys, but I think it would make for interesting around the Knicks to have Lillard. And you have Kawhi, and I do think the roster would not be as bad around them as you think it would be.
Well, it all depends on the trade. It's all about what are we giving up, and that's the answer to the question. But it brings me to another person, somebody who would be a free agent, but he's restricted, is Lonzo Ball, where you can get Lonzo, you bring back Rose, and you have quickly, and then you have a little three-headed monster there, and you have something. But I think Lonzo's going to be a little overpriced considering he's restricted. So I wouldn't mind going another route, like getting like a DeRozan who had a great season last year. People like hate him for some reason and bucketing him with guys like Lonzo.
So weird.
They're bucketing him with guys like Lonzo and like Oubre. Like DeRozan's a 4-time All-Star and he's been on all NBA teams and he's a.
There's a couple reasons though.
Yeah, it's strange.
Because like people look to replace. People look at like DeRozan as replacing RJ. You know what I mean? And people see RJ becoming what DeRozan is, or something of the like. And I hate comparing people, but I feel like that's one part of it,
That's fair. And no, I just feel like the guys that good, like we talk about this with the Nets, when you get to a certain level, like DeRozan's like an all-star. He's a perennial all-star. He's been on, with the Spurs, so he's kind of like off.
But he's not a needle mover. He's not a needle mover.
But these guys can play with anybody. They can play with anybody.
You know what happened, Alex?
They'll figure it out.
Here's what happened to him. I think this is a lot part of it. He was on the Raptors for so many years. And him and Lowry got to the semifinals, got to the Eastern Conference Finals, semifinals.
You think Toronto devalued his name?
And then they got rid of him. And the first thing that happened was they brought in Kawhi Leonard and the team won a championship. And from that point, it just made
reputation up.
I think the optics are worse than they really are.
Exactly. And it's unfair because he was 4-time, like you said, all-star. Guy was a tremendous player. I mean, he helped build the Raptor organization and set the foundation for them to become one of the model franchises in the NBA. And then Toronto pulled the trigger to go get an elite level player that
they took the risk.
It took the risk. It paid off. They won their title. But from that, it looks bad on DeRozan, even though it's not fair because Kawhi put together an epic playoff run. So it's I think people have that in their mind.
The Spurs is like where NBA players go to retire.
Right.
Rudy Gay been there forever.
Marcus Aldridge was stuck there for a while.
I mean, once the big three left, it's kind of just been mid, like real mid. And
they got a bunch of okay guys, right? They're a bunch of like, he's okay.
You got Rudy Gay on that team, like, and Patty Mills. Patty Mills, come on, guys.
Keldon Johnson's okay, but then other than that, what do you have? But it's like you look at like DeRozan and the Kawhi situation where Kawhi doesn't hit that shot against the Sixers, that lucky bounce, like they don't even win the title that year. You know what I mean? So it's weird, but like DeRozan's this year, he was 31 years old, 21 points, 7 assists, and 4 rebounds, and shooting 49.5% from the field. Like, you know
what about from three? What was he from three?
Threes too,
he doesn't shoot
from
three.
He doesn't really shoot threes. So
exactly. I think career he's 28%, and if 25%, if he did shoot more threes, absolutely would want him. You know what I mean? Because that's what we need.
No, I think my point is about him not shooting threes is we know what this game is. He still puts up 20-something points a game. He's very fluid, and if he does,
that's not what we need, in my opinion.
We need scoring. We need scoring wherever we can get it.
Yeah, I'm not
going to thumb my nose up at talent. I'm not saying I want him.
If you throw him on the team, he's not going to be getting 20.
We all know who I want. And,
who do you want? We don't know. Who do you want?
Yes, you do. I say it everywhere. I say it every time I'm ever asked. Right now, I think what we need is Kyle Lowry. So it's funny we were talking about the daggone Raptors, because that's who I think we need. I think we need Kyle Lowry.
I think Kyle Lowry on the Knicks would be brilliant.
Yeah,
I do too. It's a match made in heaven for 2
and bring
years.
Rose back. Hell yes.
You have to bring Rose back.
Yes.
1 year deal, bring him back. He'll come
back. And we have Luka Vildoza. I think we're fine with that.
Yeah.
But
How did
Lowry
that's
Vildoza
ran
it.
the
do?
starters and Rose run the second team.
Right. How did Vildoza do? And didn't he play yesterday? The Argentinian point guard they signed, the Knicks.
And
Yeah,
they,
I hear
they played
got
today
skills.
He
too.
played today. Oh,
And they
how did he
lost.
do? He was okay, or does he play well?
He was all right.
Yeah.
I didn't see too much. I saw a couple
Okay.
of clips. He was all right. I forget what his totals were, but they lost by like almost 20.
Yeah, that's gross.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
RJ,
how strong is Argentina this year, though? Really?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I have not heard of them since
Not bad.
Nocioni and them, really.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no.
since Marco Bellinelli and them stopped, you know, and they started retiring and stuff. I haven't heard from these folks. It's crazy.
So Coach, Alex brought up earlier in our pre-production meeting and a little bit here that you Nets don't bother you at all, and Alex is intrigued by this.
We've argued about this before, me and
So I want
Says he
to
doesn't- he doesn't hate the
hear
Nets.
this. I want to
So,
hear this
yeah.
argument, and maybe I'll chime in. We'll see what happens.
I mean, again, why do we talk about the Nets? It's like if I don't talk about Philly, you know, I don't talk about the Jazz. I don't talk
Philly,
about
you do though on Candid Corner. That was a bad one.
That's only because Mr. Lewis is
I know.
Sixer fan.
I'm just
not.
busting chops.
So I talk about it if he bring it up, or you know, well, in the playoffs they were doing well until they weren't.
But you hit it on the head with the Jazz.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody talk about the Jazz.
Yeah.
Right.
So to me, it's the same
go
thing. I don't have anything against the Nets.
Mhm.
They're another team. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the shit talking that gets me, man. I don't like when people talk shit, and that just annoys me. And
I
that's
don't
really
even
what- that's
hear it
what was.
really. And if Net fans talk smack, let them, because listen, y'all paid $80 million. Y'all had a Lexus. No, y'all had a Bentley. Y'all had a Rolls Royce team, and y'all parked it in the Pinto section. That's just.
Let me ask you this, Coach. I got a question for you. No. I see behind you. You've got a New York Mets and a New York Giants posters
all day.
on you.
Mhm.
All day long.
Do
all day strong.
the Eagles get or the Cowboys get on your nerves?
I am most definitely not a Cowboy fan.
And are they in the same division as the Giants?
Yeah, but there's actually rivalry there. There's actually a reason for them two franchises to not like each other. There's no reason for the Knicks and Nets not to like each other. Y'all from Jersey. Come on back home.
Okay, that's fair.
Come
No,
on
I'm
back
just
home.
no, that's fair.
I mean, they moved in our backyard. You know what I'm saying?
No, they
And talk
didn't. They
shit.
moved to Brooklyn. It's fine. It's fine. Because listen, all Brooklyn do is wear Knicks jerseys to their stadium.
Also, you notice how like all the Nets fans, you see people wearing Nets shirts in the city or anywhere else, and they're all brand new, like they just bought them like last week. All the shirts are brand
I ain't
new,
never
fresh
seen
styles.
something so fresh. You know,
Oh,
even the
man.
throwbacks are fresh.
No, it's
Oh,
fine.
man.
I mean, this triggers back to why I always said I never liked the Knicks, because it's the stuff I heard growing up my whole life.
See,
It's like
but this is,
I don't.
Alex. I
No,
wasn't away
no,
from
I
it. This is
understand.
Alex.
But it's what I heard my whole life. I don't care about the Nets, but let me just minimize them while I'm doing it. You know, like that's fair. I mean, that's fine.
Listen, all right,
Mike,
I'm gonna go
Mike,
back
let
to
me
it.
let me
Go.
ask you a question, because this is exactly what I was going to ask you before, right? When the Nets still had Kenny Atkinson, right? They had everybody in place. D'Lo, you had Spencer
culture
Dinwiddie.
Nets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Jared Allen.
That time period right there. Going into the offseason, right? Your mind, what was your mind frame like?
Yeah,
Like
that's
you
a
must
good
have been
question.
like, all right, cool. Like we're set. Like we got a nice squad. Like we got assets. We got a coach here. We proved something. Like you
We
had
made
to
the
have been in that
playoffs.
mindset, right?
Oh
Am
yeah,
I
no,
wrong?
I was. I mean, you have to remember when the Nets made that trade with the Celtics, and they got just destroyed, and they had no draft picks, and to be a team that has no talent
And so
no
now you're
draft
finally
picks,
blooming.
Yeah.
and Sean Marks did a brilliant job of getting assets by trading back. What he did was he traded bad contracts to get assets, and with those,
Mhm.
without having picks, he drafted Jared Allen and he drafted Karis LeVert, and he dealt to get
And
D'Lo
LeVert, yep.
because he took a bad contract and Timothy Mozgov off the books of the Lakers because they wanted to have
And they needed to
LeBron
get rid of
James
D'Lo
and
also. They had to
boom,
get
boom,
rid of
draft
him.
well
Yeah,
late,
yeah.
make smart signings, develop Dinwiddie, develop Joe Harris, and boom, here we are with a team that's a 6 seed and lost in the first round in 5 games. Got one great win, but the other 4 were just bad and were never really in the series. Danny knows.
Right. So what's your mind frame like right now? Like you got to be super stoked.
Yeah, I was excited. I was happy. I'm like, okay. The conversations then in the offseason were like, do we get Tobias Harris? Would that be a good guy to pair up with D'Lo? But yeah, that's good. But I mean, how great does it make us? And then there was chirping like about this Kyrie and Durant stuff. But honestly, in my head, I'm like, this is not happening. I really didn't believe that. So my mindset
all right.
was,
So that's what I was curious about.
We're going towards the future. I'm in a good from being a team that has no draft picks and has won 20 games to now a team that is at least in the mix to be a legit NBA franchise, sort of like where the Knicks are right now.
Right. So when they pulled the trigger, right, and Kyrie, the trade was announced, right? Now, what are you thinking? Like, did you instantly be like, oh man, this is great. Like, we're going to figure this. Were you positivity? Were you like me? Like, oh, we got this no matter what? Like, what were you thinking then?
When they signed Kyrie and Durant, you're talking about?
Yeah.
My mindset was, first it was shock because I'm so used to the Nets and, being from New Jersey and players not want to go there and Derek Coleman on his shoes writing trade me
Alonzo
and
Mourning,
things like that. I mean,
there,
all of that. It was a little bit of a shock that the 2 of the best players in the league wanted to join the Nets and to go from where they came from. It was a mini victory. I mean, it was. I mean, it means nothing in the long run. If they don't win a championship, this is nice, but it's not the ultimate goal. And okay. But
so you were excited they were coming.
Oh yeah, I was excited because I mean they had.
But how could you not be? I mean,
they had a chance to, I knew that there was risk with Durant, but I would bring it back to this, like, yeah, there was risk, but that's a risk you take.
Right.
If he's healthy and he's what we saw that he was in the playoffs, you have a top 5 player in the league.
Top 3. Durant, nice, bro.
But at the time, coming off an injury, but now you see, okay. This is the squad that can at least compete for the championship. And
if healthy, they should actually be in this final.
Yeah, they would be easy. They would win the title this year if they were healthy. Easy, honestly. But now you're getting into year 3 for the Nets of this free agent. They got these guys, and now you're year 3. You only got to the second round this year, and it's like
22, 23 is going to be
the clock is ticking. You got to win now.
No,
what are your assets like? Like what's in your bag?
Well, they got nothing in the bag because they dealt it all to get James Harden. So, I mean, this is it. No, they got to go for it. I mean, the key for them is re-signing Durant and Harden. I mean, if they can do that, then they've set themselves up for a couple of more years, and we'll see.
That's why I brought up my question.
That's big. I mean, that's big.
Today.
They've got to lock up James Harden. They've got to extend Kyrie and KD, and then let them age together as Nets and see what happens, and just see how it goes. And if this crew doesn't win a championship, then it didn't happen.
You're never winning,
but it's like at least and that's why I see that damn toe on the 3-point line. I just can't get that photo out of my head just of how close it was. Coach, I went on.
You have to live and die with those. With a guy like Durant.
I went on your podcast, Coach, and I said, you asked me who do I like in the finals, and I said the Suns, and I like the Nets. And I was one fucking goal away from being right. And it just
sweep the Hawks. You guys sweep the Hawks. If you guys are healthy, you sweep it. Like the Hawks don't show up. Yeah.
That's my feelings. And now I'm emotionally charged. I want to cry. So thanks.
But I had a crazy thought.
You got a great next year.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be great.
I got a crazy thought that'll make my quit sports. Is that after when can they opt out? When can they all done after next year or the year after when they can all leave if they don't?
It would be after this year, and I know
they all left.
But I know, but this is.
Oh my God!
Let me defend the net. I'll defend the net turf here a little bit because this is what happened 2 years ago, and there's records of this from Knicks fans. The Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are not going to the Nets. Nobody cares about the Nets. They never will.
That's what we were told also, though. That's what we were told. Nobody was reporting them to the Nets at all. They were all the Knicks.
But now they're not going to re-sign with them. They're mercenaries. They won't be here. At some point.
I didn't say they won't. I just said it'd be funny as hell if they leave.
At some point, reality has to set in, and maybe the Nets are irrelevant, and maybe nobody cares, but those guys want to be here. And at some point, you just have to say, okay, it is what it is. They don't want to come. They will never come to the Nets. Oh, they'll never re-sign.
We'll see.
Okay.
Well, if it goes downward, Kyrie's going to quietly leave just like he did everywhere else. You know what I'm saying? He's going to try to go. Honestly, I feel like if he does, he's going to go back to the Cavs. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to keep hopping around? I mean, I don't
He's
know.
really happy with the Nets. I mean, he really
is his
is.
team,
Like this,
yeah.
and they
Yeah.
make fun of the Nets, but they cater to him.
They
like,
let him do
do.
whatever he wants.
They let him
They
do whatever he
absolutely do.
wants.
He
He's
leads
got
the team,
got
goes
the
to a
best
birthday
deal
party.
in the world. He
Yeah.
really does. And I'm not agreeing with it, but from
Yeah.
Kyrie, he's going, I got my best friends here. The Nets let me do anything I want, and my family's in my backyard. And I think to
Yep.
him, all those three factors make a difference why he'll stay.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true. No, I hear you. I hear you. I don't
Now-
know. I just think it would be funny. That's all. I'm just
Yeah,
wanted to
Now,
put
does
that
his
out there.
commitment to the game bother you at all? Because there's all these rumors like, oh, because he chooses to do these family outings instead of, show up to his games. Does that bother you at all?
No, it doesn't. I don't love it. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world. I understand that, but I mean, what he commit. Here's the thing: if you watch Kyrie play every night, and I've said this, the only seconds I didn't watch was the second half game in Utah when they were down 87 points. It was a West Coast trip. I went to bed. He played so hard every night. He played the best defense of his career. He was active everywhere. When he's aloof, it's a problem. But it's just the news stories and cycles. And then he ended up missing. The bigger concern for me is not that. It's that every time the playoffs roll around, something physically happens to his body that enables him not to play in games. That's a
Chris
bigger
Paul syndrome.
That's a bigger fear for me than is he gonna be there? I truly believe he'll be there. Is he gonna miss some games here and there? Sure. Might I end up delivering Uber Eats to him in West Orange? I hope so. But for the most part, he's gonna be there.
I look at it like as guys like Kyrie and LeBron, people that have like won it, and understand the entire process of tooling the team and that whole shebang. They realize that they really just have to compete enough to get into the playoffs. You know what I mean? And and as you get closer, you fight a little bit harder to readjust your position, and that's it. So to that point, I totally understand that, and I would probably agree with you. I'm just trying to pick your brain a little bit. You know what I mean? As a Knicks guy, I don't see these problems. You know what I mean? But I did want to relate exactly what I was asking you before about like the beginning of the Nets's, kind of change of dynamic to where we are right now. Because if the Knicks were to pull the trigger on something like a Dame trade, it would be, kind of going down that same route. And so I feel like having that example there it's that two-sided coin, because you got fans that are like, no, stay away. And then you have other fans that are like, absolutely take the shortcut and let's try to win, and figure it out from there.
But here's the difference where the Nets did it. They outright signed Durant and Kyrie as free agents. That's
the biggest thing.
They gave up. They did have to get rid of Russell, but they did not get rid of any other assets. They just brought in these guys, and then they didn't trade. There wasn't like, okay, let's trade Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, all of our picks. Yeah, they did that, but that was to get the third star, and then that was to get the third guy to join them. When they like, if you were saying, all right, the Knicks are going to move some pieces around. Okay, it means they're going to have to lose RJ Barrett, but they're signing Lillard, and then they're signing Kawhi. That's a different story. That's a different story. Well, guys, we appreciate you you coming on the podcast. Always fun. The Knicks Corner podcast. Danny B, Coach Fah.
Yes, sir.
We'll have to do this again. It was enjoyable. It was a lot of fun. For guys that want to find your content, just a plug from your end. Where's the best place they can do it?
That's the easiest thing, man. Just search the Knicks Corner anywhere. That's
right
it.
there on Twitter, baby. Knicks Corner.
Yep. Yeah. I'm at Dan_NY_B. Coach is at Fahim Insurance. But you go at the Knicks Corner, you'll find us both, and I'm sure you'll find all three of us interacting with both of you two right there on Twitter.
And you've got the YouTube channel as well. We are on Instagram. Danny B does a great job with the social media site. So
I try, man. I try.
He does his thing, baby.
Spotify, Apple, all that.
Quick, everywhere. You guys are everywhere. No, that's great. No, but really quick, finals picks. And as we record this, the Suns are up 2-1. Who do you guys think are going to win it? What do you think this is going to go?
I'm holding down Suns in 5. I think they're going to win the next 2. Yep.
Fa, what do you think?
Bucks in 7.
This is why I love these conversations. You get such different angles.
Yes, sir.
So different. Well,
complete opposite spectrums right there.
Yeah, no, completely different. Yeah, no,
literally.
Fa's always like the screwball and everything.
Gotta be, man. Gotta be.
Oh, it's great.
That's great. No, I love it. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you both. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
right, thank you again to the guys from the Knicks Corner podcast, Danny B, Coach Fah. Check them on out. You heard all the great details of where you can find them. Always fun hanging out with a couple of Knicks
That was
fans.
fun.
I feel like Knicks
Yeah,
fans
they're
maybe
great.
get a little weirded out. They're like, we're around a Nets fan. Like, what do we do?
Let's talk Nets. Yeah, Danny started interviewing.
No,
you.
I'm just kidding. I think there's like, because I could tell Danny too. It's like, oh, so many questions about. I want to talk to this Nets fan. I'm interested in him.
Yes. You're so rare. I never see you.
All right, Alex. Let's get to the fun little enders that we do on this podcast. The poll question, of course, we have the jersey number, which is always a blast too. So what we got cooking?
And I'm really excited about DeAndre Ayton. Put up some good points. I mean, I know they lost 2-1. And the series is 2-1, but my prop bet still lives on, and I won my one prop bet, the 2-1 after 3. So there we go. So the Suns are up 2-1 after 3. So anyway, just trying to keep that going. So poll question of the day: Knicks fans, do you still believe in Frank Ntilikina? I know it's a broad question, but let me hear your thoughts as to why you answered the way you did. So yes or no, do you still believe in Frank Ntilikina?
Yes.
Yes, 52%, no, 48%, which is crazy. It's just, he's such a hot topic, which is wild to me because when he was drafted, there were fans that didn't give him a chance. Like he would stink he was injured in the beginning, and then he didn't play in summer league, I think, as a rookie, or he didn't play much as he was just injured, like he has been his whole career. He had these little minor setbacks that just hold him back. And even as a rookie or a second-year player, he's from another country. He lost his executive after he was drafted, and like he wasn't really given a chance. But by now, I'm kind of like, all right, I've seen enough. Like it's you're on a good team and you still didn't play. Like, all right, dude, you know what I mean? So I'm there. So I'm with like I if he comes back on the team, whatever. But like whatever. So, but he's such a hot topic now, and he's such a loved player now, and it's such it's like a lightning rod, like on a smaller scale, like how A-Rod was with the Yankees. like on a way smaller scale, like a poor man, like super poor man scale. Like like when you worked in sports radio at CBS Sports Radio, whenever somebody brought up A-Rod, it would just be like a 20-minute conversation about A-Rod back in the day, like in the midst of it,
No, I know what you're saying. I'm just giving you a hard time, but it is funny to think about.
You're just giving me looks and letting me talk. It go ahead.
It is weird. Like it's Frank Ntilikina who doesn't play.
Right.
The guy doesn't. He's not on. He doesn't play. I mean,
he shows
if you were talking about a guy that
every now and
played,
then. Yeah.
Like he doesn't play.
Right.
So
I'm
why
telling
do
you, I got a lot of comments on this one. 62 comments, like responses to this episode, this poll question, which is absurd. Usually it's like 10, 15, you know what I mean? Like 62, So let's see. Let me go down the list. You
got to read them all.
Read them all. Just read all 62.
No, don't do that.
So we got DJ Trackstar with a K. Dude is just 22 and scratching the surface. All he needs is a coach. He wrote coach who believes in him and a consistent role. The work ethic is obviously there, and he's a great teammate by all accounts. I would sign him to a 3 to 4 year, $5 to $8 million per, and watch him outperform big time. So he's really high on him. Then you have guys like Magic Johnson, but with a J underscore in between. 4 years and 4 different coaches. Players need stability. Also, we often take for granted players who just adapt and will be fine, but that doesn't always happen. I do believe in Frank, but at the same time, a change of scenery is needed. So that makes sense. So we have Coach Fah, the guy that we just saw, Fah Insurance. It's a non-combo. He will be gone by season start. It's time to move on from Frank Ntilikina combos. He's done. So he's done with him. Let's see.
Agreed, Coach.
Yeah, let's see. I want to get some different perspectives. Okay, so we have at Sand HYOF. First year with a real coach and competing. Still younger than our 2020 first. Showed flashes in very little that he played this season. I'd give him 2 more years. But honestly, did he show? I mean, he had a couple good games here and there, but like he was getting healthy scratches. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my biggest defense of him through his first few years was, okay, put him on a good team. He can be a really good player, like a Bruce Bowen, at the very least, he'll be, just get him with a good coach and good player. Then he's on a good team with a good coach and he didn't play.
What would upset you more? Honest answer.
Yep.
Wonder if you can guess what I'm about to ask you.
No, I honestly have no idea.
If they maxed out Frank Ntilikina or they maxed out Dinwiddie, who would you rather have maxed out?
You're such an asshole. Making me say Dinwiddie. Of course, Dinwiddie. That's such a dick question. Mike, who would you rather have? John Starks or I don't know.
Number 3.
Yinka Dare.
All right. Yeah, I'd rather have Starks. I think it took, and Dolan would know the answer to this. It was February 7th. I think it took Yinka like 6 years to get an assist or something crazy.
Yeah, that you told me that story. Yeah, that's a crazy stat. Like that's not even possible.
Like at the end of the game one time that he was taking the ball and they were just passing it to someone to shoot so they could get him an assist.
So he can get an assist. Like
crazy.
How's that possible? Like that's just like impossible.
I don't know.
All right, so we got our boy Jalen Taylor. Is that Jalen_Taylor? No, he had 4 years to improve in a Knicks uniform and really make a name for himself. Didn't happen. Now I'm good. Next. So I like that. That's kind of where I'm at. Like it's over. It's just but if he comes back and he's at the end of the bench, like I mean, whatever. I mean, we can we can have more cheerleaders. Then we have let's see who else we got. Johnny Rosado at Johnny_Rosado, Johnny with an H and 2 N's, if you were interested. When you think of Knicks 2020 season, can't say Frankie Boy had a lot to do with the Knickerbocker success. Was he even given a fair chance? I think so. So he thinks that he did get a shot because, I mean, and he couldn't crack the rotation. You know, I mean, I agree with Johnny. It's like, yeah, he wasn't in games, but he's in practice and probably getting cooked by Alfred Payton. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like this is like the argument I had last year with Knicks fans with Bobby Portis. Like, why is Bobby Portis playing over Kevin Knox? Why is Bobby Portis playing Kevin Knox? I'm like, Bobby Portis is probably cooking Knox in practice every single day, and the coach can't look the other players in the face. Like, I'm going to play this guy. Like, no. Like, I know Knox was a first round pick, but like, still, like, you can't just you have to have let me give you a Jets example. Remember when they drafted what's his name, the Penn State quarterback in the second round, Hackenberg, and going into that season or the next season, maybe even in the second year, whatever it was, we're like, just start him. And Jets fans are like, yeah, just start him. And then you get reporters like Brian Costello on the Fan and stuff like that. He
can't throw a football.
Like, dude, he stinks. You know what I mean? Like, you can't start this guy. And, sure enough, he never takes a snap, barely, it's just, it's crazy. You practice matters. It's not just what happens on a game, so there's got to be a lot there. And there's a reason for it. Tibbs is not just going to not play.
He is fascinating on that sense of it. And that's why it's even more crazy to look back on that one play versus Trae Young where he was put in to play defense.
Right. And the game winner in game 1. Yeah, that was absurd. It's just like you don't play him all season. Then you put him in cold on Trae Young. Here you go, buddy. Sink or swim. This is going to be on your negative highlight tape for the rest of your life.
I did and I think Danny picked up on it when I was talking about the Nets first round exit. And I was just rushing. They got one good win. There was all these bad losses. I was trying to have Knicks fans hear that. Why am I even saying this? Shows my insecurities. Sorry.
No, I mean, it was funny, but it was funny. I couldn't get it in because it didn't flow with the conversation, but throughout the whole show, you're like, yeah, but you don't understand. We were in a place where we had no picks and we were over the cap. I'm like, dude, that was the entire 2000, the Knicks, an entire decade. We lived that with Isaiah, and he just kept bringing in more terrible contracts and trading away picks. Like, take this guy.
It wasn't as dire as the Nets, though. That's as bad as it gets.
It's comparable. That's a podcast altogether. I think if we really think about
no
that.
Draft picks, like none, and be
the Knicks
that
had
and
some,
have no talent.
They had some, and they drafted some late. Like they had David Lee. They drafted late. They drafted Nate Robinson late. They had some decent.
No, Isaiah was
success.
Good at drafting players late. He did do a good job with that.
Not early though. Like they had the Michael Sweetneys, the Channing Frys, the those kind of guys.
But the later picks, he did well.
Like Trevor Ariza also was a second round pick for the Knicks. But yeah, I don't know. Which is weird because you feel like it'd be easier to draft higher than lower, but I guess it's easier to find diamonds in the rough that slip through the cracks than any other kind of. Do you want some more shout outs or are you done?
Give me one more. And then I'm prepping my question.
You're prepping your jersey number trivia. Let's see. I'm trying to get one that's like kind of funny. All right, let me just pick a random one. Okay, Freedy Arnigbo, Arningbo. For the Knicks, no, I don't believe in him. For another team, I wouldn't be surprised if he became a solid rotation guy. Kind of feel the same way about Knox, to be honest. See, I don't understand that because the Knicks are the good team now. Like they're one of the good teams with a good coach. Like why would he need, why wouldn't the Knicks just want to leverage that if he's here? If he's that good, if he's good and can be a solid rotation player, why wouldn't he be on this team this year? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Why did they bring in Derrick Rose? Why did, you know what I mean? Like, because Ntilikina couldn't do it and they knew it. And that's really what it is. And
he saved
I've been
their ass.
defending Frank for years that he hasn't been given a chance. Like, somebody else said it in one of the shout outs. He's had 4 different, he had Fizdale, Miller, he had Hornacek. You know what I mean? He's had so many coaches already, and he's like 22 years old. And you know, it's like absurd. But you know what, man? This is the NBA. You know, it's just, you know, Colin Sexton's able to put up 25 with a bunch of terrible players. You know what I mean? Ntilikina can't crack the rotation. So what does that say? So anyway,
Says he won't be on the Knicks.
What did you say?
He won't be on the Knicks next year.
Yeah,
I don't.
We'll see.
So.
We'll see. It all depends on the deal, Mike. It all depends on the deal. Okay, so jersey number trivia. So we, at the beginning of this podcast, maybe right around in the 20s, we were doing jersey number trivia. So for every episode, we were guessing, throwing out a jersey number for that episode and trying to guess it. Now we're in the 70s at 71, so we have no 70s. So we're doing random numbers now.
77.
77 is George Mirasan, right?
RJ. Oh no.
77.
Oh, Taj Gibson. Sorry. 85 is
67.
Bargnani. 91 Baron Davis.
Yeah, Baron Davis. Well, we'll get there. And then you have Deshaun Stevenson and Jason Collins in the 90s. So those are two that you'll have to get. You'll remember in a couple months.
When we get there, we'll get there.
Okay, so you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah. I'm gonna make it easy for you tonight because I feel
easy.
bad.
Yeah. Let's go.
Number 50 for the Knicks. He played for the Knicks for 2 seasons.
Michael Sweetney.
Yep.
Just mentioned
it.
that.
Well, that's why I
That's
want
too
to
easy.
make it easy for you.
Yeah,
You've been
see, that was
struggling
easy. He was
lately.
already in the brain. He was already.
I was trying to help you out. Am I allowed to give you an assist? Am I allowed to pass the ball like James Harden? Sorry, you're not used to having a point guard. You know what it's
I'm
like.
used to
getting a nice...
Yinkadare, not used to James Harden.
Yeah, all right.
Why don't you give me one more? Because that was too easy. Give me like one, like decent one.
Okay. All right.
To
Stop
show
complaining.
the entire repertoire.
Number 44 for the Knicks. He was not drafted by New York. He played there for the last 3 seasons of his career.
44. What position and years?
Center.
And what years?
He played for the Knicks from 2000 to 2003.
Felton Spencer?
No. I'm just double checking if he's on that list. I don't see Felton.
No, he was maybe 45
Do
or something.
you want more clues?
44. Hold on. So it had to be was it Doliak? Or do we do that? Or no,
We did Doliak. He's 51, I believe, or something around there.
It had to be somebody that came back in the Ewing trade, right? So that's what I'm thinking. 2000 to 2000. Well,
2000, 2001. Do you want to know the team that drafted him?
Sure.
The team that drafted him was the Lakers.
The Lakers.
Yeah, from Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah. Not Minneapolis. Not
You got it. No,
George
just
Mikan days.
out,
No,
helping
okay.
you out.
44.
Yeah, finally a good one.
Yeah, this is a good one. Holy crap. Why
He
can't
shoots with his right hand.
Oh, thanks. Fuck. I know.
His career averages 3.4 points, 3.1
scrub.
rebounds, 0.6 assists. But you will remember him. You will know who he is.
I will know who he is. 44. Oh, God damn it.
Lakers drafted him.
Luke Longley?
No,
44?
he was in
No.
the same draft as Kobe
13.
Bryant.
Same draft as Kobe Bryant. I have no idea. No idea. I'm lost.
Travis Knight.
Travis Knight. I would have never guessed that. I forgot
was a good
about
one.
him. Yeah, that was a good one. See, those are the kinds of jersey numbers that we need to.
That
go
was
for.
like the sweet spot of guessing.
Yeah,
That was a really good one.
That was.
That's
a
on the
really
Mount
good-
Rushmore of my.
Yeah, that was a good job.
All right, what do you have for me?
Okay, let's see. Let's see. What number do I want to do? I want to get ones that you're gonna have to think. You know what I mean? Like, because you're
Not that's impossible, but that's too easy. That was
Right,
the sweet
like-
spot.
that was Travis Knight was a good one. That was like really like holy crap. I have no idea.
Oh.
Let's see. How many games did he play for the Nets? This guy. Oh no, you're not gonna get that. Mark.
Hey
Strickland.
guys, while Alex is trying to figure out.
Yeah, I need to get a.
Don't forget, you can subscribe to Bad Weather Fans. Go ahead, tell your friends, leave a 5-star comment, leave a 5-star rating, leave a comment. All right, you ready?
Yeah, there we go. So number 34, from 97 to 98, he played for the Nets.
1 year.
No, was 2 years.
Oh,
96, 97, and 97, 98. Ended his career playing for the Nets.
So he ended his career in 98.
Yes.
Oh, this is right in Dolan's wheelhouse.
Played a long career. So from, I don't want to give you the draft year because you might get it because you're a draft guy. So he played, I won't tell you how many years, but he had a long career.
He had a long career.
Several different teams, but not a journeyman, but he was on several teams.
I don't think it was him. That was too early. It's not Mahorn because Mahorn was early.
No.
It's not Mahorn.
That's a good guess.
96, 97. So that would have been Kerry Kittle's rookie season. So Kerry's the 2 guard at number 30. So in my head,
he started 5 games, played
Tony
62.
Massenberg?
No.
Okay, let me keep thinking.
Better player, better career, way better career than that.
Okay.
Way better career.
So it's not Chris Morris. He was long gone. Okay, so Kerry Kittles is the 2 guard in that rookie.
He was a one-time All-Star.
He's a one-time All-Star.
Really good career.
Okay, let me work through this. Sorry to bore everybody. I don't even care anymore. Okay, I'm going to work through this. Okay, so the point guard on those teams, I'm going to say it was Robert Peck. So
Robert Peck. It's always Robert Peck.
Not Kendall Gill.
You want the position?
It's definitely a small forward at number 34. Small forward,
correct.
It's got to. That's where my brain was going. So a small forward, 2 years. This one is good. Oh my god! I almost want to suspend play and see if I can get it next week. Don't even. I won't look it up. I wouldn't look it up.
You'll get it though. You'll think about it when
my brain, like if I get spend the next 3 hours, like I'll be in the middle of the sleep and I'll wake up and be like
Eureka!
And you kill. No. One more clue.
He played. Okay, one more clue.
34. That's such an easy number too. I'm probably really effing this up.
He played 62 games, started 5 in his first season there when he was 33. Then when he was 34 in his last year in the NBA, he only played 20 games. So he probably only averaged 9 minutes. So he probably wasn't really a factor that year. So he was drafted in 85 by the Sonics.
Oh, why am I having such trouble with this? Oh my God. I'm like embarrassed. I should know this, right?
You should.
I should know this. Yeah, he was drafted.
Especially who he is. When I tell you, he's had a really good career, and he was
I know
some really like marquee teams.
So 96, 97, 97, 98. Was that Calipari's first year with the Nets?
Calipari was the coach that year. Previous year, no, it was his second year.
It was his second year with the Nets. So that was. Oh, I know.
43 and 39.
No, it's not him. It's not Ronnie Cycli.
Nope. Small forward, not center.
Oh, yeah, you said that. Oh, my God. Who is this? It's not Chris Gatling. He was a power forward. Oh, I'm like all around this. Oh, my effing God. Oh, my God.
About Travis Knight.
This is your pure comeback. Is this boring? Is this going on too long? This is going
on. I'm going to give you a hint. He played for the Knicks 1 year.
That's not going to. It's not.
No, it'll help.
It's not McDaniel.
It is. Xavier McDaniel. X-Man. That one you should have gotten. That one you're mad. I know. You always do that. Whenever you get the answers, you're like, it's not McDaniel. Just make your guess.
I know. I was dancing all around that. I guess the Nets made the playoffs the next year. I'm not getting this all the time.
But it was weird because he was in Seattle for a couple of years, went to Phoenix.
Oh, that's where
then he was in the middle of the season, and then he went to the Knicks for that 1 year where they loved him. But then the Knicks didn't offer him a contract until they had him in the bag. They're like, we're bringing him back. Riley wanted him back, but they didn't offer him a contract. And then he's sitting there with this Boston offer, like, I want to come back, guys. But the Knicks never gave him an offer, and he just had to take care of himself. Gotcha. And the Knicks botched that. And then he went on to Boston for a few years, and then played in Greece for a year, and then the Nets brought him in for 2.
Yeah, the Nets have done. I mean, I guess a lot of teams. It's not a Nets thing because I said like Rick Mahorn, Ronnie Cycli. Like that's just the nature.
Do the Knicks win a title if they have X-Man? Because of that X-Man trade, they had to trade Mark Jackson they didn't have to, but they thought they did. They traded Mark Jackson to get Charles Smith, just like and Doc Rivers, and then that just they thought they needed to replace X-Man with Charles Smith, and it was just like this whole it just started that they still got to the finals in '94, but it started this downward trend because X-Man wasn't afraid of the Bulls, he wasn't afraid of Pippen, he wasn't afraid of these guys, and they were probably more afraid of him. So that's another read Paul Nepper's book. Knicks
I was just thinking that. I was just thinking that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Another great guest here on Bad Weather Fans. Go ahead earlier in the catalog. All right. This has been episode number 72 of Bad Weather Fans. Thank you again to our guest that came on the podcast today, Danny B, Coach Fah from the Knicks Corner podcast. Download, listen on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. Go ahead. Please leave a comment and leave a 5-star rating. And then also, if you want to check out the video version, you can see that on YouTube. Just type in Bad Weather Fans. If you want to hear Alex's meltdown after the Knicks lost to the Atlanta Hawks in a heart-wrenching game, you can go back and hear that. If you want to hear my high of beating the Bucks and then my low of losing to the Bucks, you can get all of that here on Bad Weather Fans.
All right.
Alex, good stuff
Mike.
As always.
Yeah,
Always a
it was
pleasure,
fun.
always an honor, and always just a lot of fun recording
again
episodes with you.
To the Knicks Corner, Danny B and Coach Fah for coming on. That was a lot of fun.
Yes,
so
we'll have to go on with that. It'll be good times. All right,
until
Alex.
next week. All right.
See y'all,
See you
homie.
later.